Today, we're diving into a fascinating and thought-provoking topic. What was the world like before the Great Flood? Have you ever wondered about the lives of those who existed before the catastrophe that altered the course of human history? What were the climate, geography, culture, religion, technology, morality, and spirituality like for those who lived on Earth before God sent the flood to cleanse it of sin? In this video, we'll explore both the facts and mysteries of the antediluvian world, drawing insights from the Bible, history, and science. Stick with us until the end. You may be surprised by what you discover. Before we dive in, please remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you won't miss any new content, and share this video with your friends so they too can explore this captivating topic. Let's get started. First, we need to understand that the world before the flood was vastly different. Ours. One striking difference was human longevity. Did you know that people lived much longer before the flood than afterward? According to the Bible, the patriarchs of that time had lifespans ranging from hundreds to nearly 1,000 years. For instance, Adam lived for 930 years. His son Seth lived for 912 years, and Methuselah, Noah's grandfather, lived for 969 years, making him the longest-lived person in history. Noah himself lived 950 years. But why did people live so long before the flood? Several theories attempt to explain this, with one of the most widely accepted being that the Earth's environment was far more conducive to human life. Some believe that a protective layer of water vapor encircled the Earth, shielding it from harmful solar radiation and creating a temperate, humid climate. According to this theory, this vapor canopy broke during the flood, causing the torrential rains that submerged the planet. Afterward, climate changed dramatically, becoming colder and drier, and the increased exposure to solar radiation led to shorter lifespan. Another key difference in the pre-flood world was the direct interaction between the divine and human realms. The Bible reveals that God spoke directly to certain individuals like Adam, Eve, Cain, Abel, Enoch, and Noah, giving them guidance, warnings, and blessing. He also judged and punished sin more immediately. Moreover, before the flood, there was an unusual union between the sons of God and the daughters of men, produced a race of giants called the Nephilim. Who were these sons of God, daughters of men, and the Nephilim? These are highly debated questions among scholars. One common interpretation is that the sons of God were fallen angels who rebelled against God, and took human women as wives. This union produced the Nephilim, beings of both human and angelic nature, known for their strength and wickedness. Their violence and corruption played a significant role in provoking God's wrath and bringing judgment upon the earth. But who were these fallen angels, and why did they rebel against God? To understand this, we need to go back to a time even before the earth's creation. The Bible tells us that God existed in all his majesty, alongside his son Jesus. Among his creations were the angels, spiritual beings created to worship and serve him. One angel in particular stood out, Lucifer, whose name means morning star. Beautiful, intelligent, and powerful, he held a high position in heaven. However, Lucifer wasn't satisfied with his role and sought to be equal to God. Filled with pride and ambition, he led a rebellion, convincing a third of the angels to join him in defying God's authority. In response, God cast Lucifer, now known as Satan, and his followers out of heaven, down to earth, where they became known as demons. This marked the beginning of spiritual warfare between the kingdom of God and the kingdom of Satan. When God created earth and placed Adam and Eve in it, Satan saw an opportunity for revenge. He viewed earth as his domain and tempted Adam and Eve to disobey God by eating the forbidden fruit, thus introducing sin, death, and suffering into the world. From that point on, humanity's story became one of both fall and redemption, conflict and hope. One early example of this was the story of Cain and Abel, Adam and Eve's sons. Abel, a shepherd, offered God the best of his flock, while Cain, a farmer, made an offering of produce without the same devotion. God favored Abel's offering, prompting Cain to murder his brother in a fit of jealousy. Even after this heinous act, Cain was not entirely abandoned. Though cursed, he had descendants who contributed to early human civilization. For instance, his lineage included Jabal, the father of nomadic herders, Jubal, father of musicians, and Tubal-Cain, a master of metallurgy. As civilization expanded, humanity grew more corrupt. The Bible recounts that Lamech, a descendant of Cain, became the first polygamist and boasted of killing a man for merely wounding him. Violence, pride, and idolatry increasingly marked human society. Meanwhile, Adam and Eve had another son, Seth, whose descendants, unlike Cain's, worshipped God. Among these was Enoch, who is remembered for his deep communion with God. Enoch walked with God, and the Bible tells us that he was taken up to heaven without experiencing death. While the pre-flood world was marked by moral and spiritual decay, it also saw significant advancements in science and technology. Although the Bible doesn't provide extensive details, Noah's Ark alone reflects the engineering and technical skills of the time. Constructing the ark was a complex endeavor, requiring advanced tools, mathematical knowledge, and architectural expertise. Noah's obedience, in following God's precise instructions to build the massive structure, demonstrates a sophisticated level of understanding that often goes unrecognized. The existence of the Nephilim also raises intriguing questions about the genetic and bioengineering capabilities of pre-flood humanity. These giants were not only physically powerful, but were also influential figures in culture and society. Some scholars even speculate that the great megalithic structures scattered across the world, from the Egyptian pyramids to Mesopotamian ziggurats, may have been built with knowledge possessed by pre-flood civilizations. The rapid advancements in agriculture, metallurgy, music, and art also suggest a highly organized and culturally rich society. The descendants of Cain, like Jabal, Jubal, and Tubal-Cain, were pioneers in these fields, which implies that the pre-flood world had specialized roles, educational institutions, and a complex social structure. The Earth's geography and climate were also distinct before the flood. A water vapor canopy created a greenhouse effect, resulting in a uniformly warm and lush environment that allowed for abundant vegetation and wildlife. This Eden-like paradise supported a large population. The Garden of Eden, described in the Bible as a place of unparalleled beauty and fertility, was home to the first humans before sin entered the world. Yet, despite the favorable conditions, humanity's increasing wickedness brought about divine judgment. God saw that the thoughts of humanity were continually evil, and he resolved to cleanse the earth with a flood. Only Noah, a righteous man who walked with God, was chosen to preserve a remnant of humanity and animals to repopulate the earth after the flood. In conclusion, the antediluvian world was one of contrasts. It was a time of incredible scientific and cultural achievements, yet also of deep moral and spiritual decline. The story of the Great Flood reminds us of the consequences of turning away from God and highlights the importance of faith, obedience, and righteousness in our relationship with Him. As we reflect on this ancient era, let us strive to walk with God, just as Enoch and Noah did. The story of the world before the Great Flood, as told in biblical narratives, offers profound lessons for humanity, touching on themes of faith, obedience, and the consequences of moral and spiritual decline. While the pre-flood world was marked by technological and cultural advancements, it was also a period characterized by increasing wickedness, corruption, and separation from God. The antediluvian era serves as a cautionary tale, illustrating the importance of living in alignment with divine principles and highlighting the eternal truths that transcend time and history. One of the most prominent lessons from this ancient story is the significance of faith and obedience in one's relationship with God. Noah, the central figure in the narrative, exemplifies these qualities. The Bible describes Noah as a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Genesis 6, verse 9. Despite living in a society filled with moral decay and rampant evil, Noah remained steadfast in his faith. His trust in God's instructions, even when they seemed difficult or illogical, such as building a massive ark in preparation for a flood that no one had ever experienced, speaks to his unwavering commitment to God's will. Noah's example demonstrates that faith is not just about belief, but about action. True faith compels obedience, even when the path ahead is uncertain or fraught with challenges. This brings us to another vital lesson: consequences of moral decay and disobedience. The world before the flood, according to the narrative, was one of incredible human achievement. There were advancements in agriculture, metallurgy, music, and other cultural pursuits. However, alongside these developments came a moral and spiritual collapse. The Bible tells us that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. Genesis 6, verse 5. The Nephilim, a race born from the union of the sons of God and the daughters of men, symbolized the mixing of divine and human realms in a way that defied God's order, contributing to widespread violence and corruption. This moral decline ultimately provoked God's decision to send the flood as a judgment on the world. The lesson here is clear. When humanity turns away from divine principles, chaos and destruction inevitably follow. The story illustrates the dangers of pride, greed, and selfish ambition, qualities that led to the fall of Lucifer, the corruption of the Nephilim, and the eventual judgment of humanity. It warns against the pursuit of worldly success at the expense of spiritual integrity. Technological and cultural advancements are not enough to sustain a healthy society. They are not grounded in moral and ethical values. Without a sense of accountability to a higher power or moral law, even the greatest achievements can lead to destruction. Yet, amidst the darkness of this narrative, there is also a message of hope and redemption. While the flood was a judgment, it was also an opportunity for a new beginning. God did not destroy humanity entirely, but preserved a remnant through Noah and his family. This act of preservation highlights God's mercy and grace. Despite humanity's failures, there is always a chance for redemption for those who seek it. Noah's survival and the renewal of the earth after the flood symbolize the idea that, no matter how dire the situation, faithfulness to God can lead to salvation and restoration. Another powerful lesson is the importance of walking closely with God, as exemplified by figures like Enoch and Noah. Enoch, who walked with God and was taken up to heaven without seeing death, serves as a reminder that spiritual communion with God can transcend even the physical limitations of life. His story, like Noah's, emphasizes that a life lived in close relationship with the divine is one that is marked by favor, protection, and ultimate peace. Walking with God requires intentionality, commitment, and a willingness to go against the cultural currents of one's time, much like Noah did when he built the ark. Lastly, the story of the antediluvian world underscores the principle of divine justice. While God is patient and slow to anger, there comes a point when justice must be enacted. The flood was not just a random act of destruction, but a measured response to the rampant evil that had overtaken the earth. It reminds us that while we may experience injustice and evil in our world today, divine justice is inevitable. God's judgment, while difficult to comprehend, is part of a larger divine plan for the restoration of order and righteousness in the world. In conclusion, the narrative of the world before the Great Flood teaches us enduring lessons about faith, obedience, consequences of moral decline, and the hope of redemption. It reminds us that while human progress and innovation are important, they must be accompanied by a commitment to righteousness and spiritual integrity. In a world that often prioritizes material success over moral values, the story of Noah and the flood serves as a timeless reminder of the importance of walking with God, living with integrity, and remaining faithful to divine principles, even in the face of adversity. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic, so feel free to leave a comment below. Stay tuned for more fascinating videos exploring the mysteries of our world and beyond. Until next time, may God bless you